All right, let's get started with some news. I'm gonna keep this one fairly short, probably less than 5 minutes. This is basically about LAHSA, which is the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. This is just my quick hot take on what's going on with them. I'm going to show on screen, but I'm going to go ahead and read it off as well because this is more of a I do more of a podcast style most of the time. So pop it up now. Okay. So Claudia for KNX 1070 reported on Twitter an update with a screenshot of an email from LAHSA, which goes by LA Homeless on Twitter. And again, LAHSA is short for the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. In case the name sounds familiar, a year or two ago, they were under a very serious audit, and the audit found flaws and more or less wasteful spending, or I should say, not wasteful spending. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. Not meeting certain goals and being way under, basically doing a very poor job. So anyway, she reports more from LAHSA that the Echo Park Lake's limited final notice period of 24 hours did not allow for typical levels of relationship building and trauma informed service to help increase the likelihood of successful placements. Now, in case you've been under a rock, basically there was a huge encampment here at Echo Park, which is like our big park here in downtown LA, basically. Well, close to downtown LA. And they forcibly cleared out the park of the homeless encampment. So I'm going to go ahead and read the part of the email that she screenshotted. And then I'm going to give my hot take on it. The effort to close Echo Park Lake and shelter the people living there differed from typical outreach sheltering efforts in a few key ways, which could account for the discrepancy in placements. Echo Park's Lake's limited final notice period of 24 hours did not allow typical levels of relationship building and trauma informed service to help increase the likelihood of successful placements. Outreach sheltering efforts usually provide notice of at least 3 to 4 weeks, which allows outreach workers to develop relationships, address individual concerns, and avoid harming participants. A service provider typically oversees all outreach at a single site. The provider builds long-term relationships with the clients, uses trauma-informed practices, and can access system-wide resources. This allows for consistency in relationship building and information gathering. Instead, at Echo Park Lake, several different organizations with varying levels of access and training on centralized information systems such as HMIS acted with limited coordination. Inconsistent record keeping across service providers has required time consuming data correction and added a degree of disorder to rehousing efforts. Best practices in outreach sheltering can reduce trauma experienced by people experiencing homelessness and assist their movement towards permanent housing. As we continue to work our outreach efforts, LAHSA will continue to advocate that the unhoused people that we serve are given the best possible opportunity to end their homelessness by utilizing the following best practices: identify housing resources to support in transition indoors, identify a service provider, lead and let them lead, launch case conferencing meetings with appropriate outreach teams, other service providers to discuss client needs, establish a coordinated outreach plan and timeline, implement while maintaining trust, and report with consistent, accurate communication, debrief and review for potential improvement. So, with all that said, my hot take based on my personal experience with LAHSA, LAHSA likes to take any opportunity possible to make themselves look good. keep in mind, I will link down in the description the LAHSA audit that was done that mentions all their flaws and their shortcomings if you want to read that. But TLDR, in my opinion, LAHSA likes to seize the opportunity to make themselves look good when the media is covering something, such as when COVID started and Project Roomkey, and then again with the Echo Park incident. Because as I respond or quoted her tweet, which if she knows how to use Twitter, she'll see it. I quoted that tweet and I said, in my own words, this is my own words, by the way, LAHSA claims all this, yet the email still remains unanswered, no calls back, no email back, nothing. This email response given to Claudia, I think, is total BS. Even more so when they say implement while maintaining trust and debrief and review for potential improvement. So as you can see here by the screenshot, of course, I block out my actual email address. I sent a grievance to LAHSA regarding PATH. PATH is people assisting the homeless. And as you can see, it says two grievances at lahsa.org. And obviously I mailed it by my Gmail account. And that was back, let's go back. That was back on March 4th of 2019, 12:35 p.m. And so, you know, I also posted a screenshot of the actual email itself. And I basically outlined the fact that I was in a motel room put there by PATH that did not have a working shower or a working toilet, meaning that the sewage was regurgitating back into the shower. Okay. And APS, which is Adult Protective Services, came out and documented it. And I let LAHSA know, and there's been no answer since. No answer. No response, no phone calls back, nothing. I've called them. I've emailed them, as the screenshots show. And so when they say implement while maintaining trust, you know, how do they expect people like myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's gone through a similar experience, to keep trust in LAHSA? Okay, LAHSA is complete garbage, literally. I'm not even kidding. Okay, if they can't even take the time to respond to like an email, then you know what? They're not worth it. They're not worth their funding. They're not worth any public support that they get. Nothing. As a matter of fact, I would probably suggest for people not to support them. Actually, I was hopeful for the Board of Supervisors to actually disband LAHSA, but that didn't happen. So there's that. In other news, as a quick recap, for those of you that don't follow my Twitter account, I also covered, let me see if I can find it right here. Here we go. So basically, our LA mayor, Eric Garcetti, approved a $11.2 billion city budget. Okay. The part I don't agree with is the budget includes more than 1.7 billion, that's with a B, billion for the Los Angeles Police Department. The reason why I disagree with that, or disagree with the amount that they're giving to LAPD, is you have to keep in mind LAPD has been in the news for a lot of alleged misconduct and confirmed reports on them shooting the homeless inside their tents here in LA. So the 1.7 billion is a 3% increase from last year. While the homeless, to address the city's homelessness, only gets a measly 955 million. A quick hot take. I think they should give the 1.7 billion to help the city address its homelessness problem and 955 million to LAPD instead. So there's that. But I do agree with Andy, which is the CEO of Union Rescue Mission. Like he says here, my hopes are that it will be spent much more wisely and prudently to immediately get people off the streets. Reverend Andy Bell, CEO of Union Rescue Mission, said. So I don't think no matter how much money we pour at this, if we don't do it urgently to rescue people immediately from the streets, we're going to do it soon enough. And mind you, all this funding goes into effect July 1st. And I will have a link down in the description for that news article as well. So with all that said, I just wanted to get off my chest about LAHSA. Make it known that, hey, don't let LAHSA, blindside you with their TV magic, as I like to call it, because whenever media is covering something and LAHSA has a chance to step in and make themselves look good, they will take it. Outside of media coverage, the stuff that has happened to me, and you try to get LAHSA to do something about it, they don't do anything. They don't even care. So where they're saying that they advocate is, to me, based on my personal experience with LAHSA, is total BS. And I'm sure there's other people out there that have a similar experience, probably a similar opinion. And you know what? It's really a messed up situation. Thank you for listening. And remember, I make these videos as a form of creating open discussion around these issues because, I'm sure this isn't happening in just like LA. I'm sure it's happening in New York and in other states and other countries and other parts of the world. Like, this isn't just an isolated thing. I'm sure there's similar, things, similar experiences going on with other people, you know, in the similar situation that need to be addressed and approved upon. But it takes public awareness in those communities to address these issues to create change. And that's where I advocate for people need to start speaking up, and start telling their local officials and their government to do something to fix this mess. Thank you for listening.